Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self-Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. If someone wanted to drain you mentally and emotionally, if they wanted to live like a parasite off of your prosperity, how would they do it? That is a question very few of us ask because we're not that way. You're looking at the potential of others, the possibility that they possess. You believe that everyone can bring out themselves at their very best. Well, the person who, has decided they're going to use you for their benefit at your expense, let me give you an indicator. They're not going to do it with a frontal assault. They're not going to kick down your door, scream their intentions, and steal your peace and your prosperity by force. They're going to do it slowly. And they're going to infiltrate your life by appealing to your greatest strengths. Those things that you just looked at, your traits that you believe in, that everyone possesses, your empathy, your patience, your loyalty. And they make you feel like your tolerance of their bad behavior is a virtue. Because, they just need a little bit more assistance, a little bit more time, a little bit more support. And here's the trap. To survive in their world, because you will not bloom and blossom and progress. Why? Because you have to start playing a part. It's like you become a deep cover FBI agent who winds up embedding with the bad guy for too long. You begin to mimic their language, you lower your standards to match theirs, and you tolerate things that the previous you, the prosperity you, would never have allowed. That goes on long enough? How long? 66 days. Yeah, that's all it takes. That goes on for, a little over 2 months, and the lines begin to blur. It's not that you think you've become a bad guy. Instead, you become trapped in a state of chronic confusion, unable to figure out why things just keep getting worse the more you try for them to progress. What you're not realizing is that your brain has biologically adapted to the environment. Without knowing it, you've begun to function as a permanent food source for the freeloading parasite squatter. So this is our final installment in our series of relationship squatters. And we want to put an end to this cycle. Stop the drain. And how to begin to evict the emotional parasites that are stealing your prosperity so you can get your power back. But we have to start with, how did you get to the point where your life is steadily deteriorating, but you can't pinpoint why? And I'll tell you right now, it is not a lack of intelligence. This is not the first podcast you've listened to. Maybe you've worked with coaches or therapists, read books, took classes, attended workshops and intensives. It is a biological adapting. That's what's been taking place. Your system has learned to silence itself because of your repeated exposure. And in our earlier episodes, we talked about that internal home alarm system, your anxiety, your gut feeling, your racing heart, your nervous system. And it was blaring in the background, desperately trying to communicate with you that something was really wrong, that an emotional squatter had moved in. But a siren you cannot shut off will drive you mad. I know. A couple of years ago, I had smoke detectors, brand new, put all through my home. And unfortunately, for the 4 that they put in, 1, 2, 3, yes, 4, the 4 that they put in, 3 were bad and would just randomly start going off. And I finally had to tell the company that installed them, get them the freak out of my house. I'm sick and tired of it. I'll put up something that I can trust. And since I've done that, I haven't had any challenges. But to survive while that's going on, all that blaring, you do the only thing you can do. You rip out the batteries and you disconnect it. You disconnect your own nervous system. And once that alarm goes silent, the real danger begins. Because without that warning, your brain stopped fighting the squatter and started adapting to them. Neuroscience calls this, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together, wire together. As a hypnotist, I understand this. And this is where we can take 2 things that are unrelated and put them together. If I was working with a child that was having a hard time with their grades, but maybe they're really good in playing soccer or video games, well, I can then begin to wire those things together, that the more they improve in their gaming, the more they will improve in their grades. But unfortunately for you, the things that have wired together, that have fired together, are going to be supporting the parasite in their dysfunction and you being the food source. Because when you constantly suppress your anger, and anger is so good when used appropriately because it says a boundary has been crossed. Or how about walking on eggshells, rewriting your boundaries just to keep the peace? But that's a peace that comes at a cost that you're the only one paying the price. Those survival mechanisms become your default setting. And your brain interprets this repeated daily survival behavior as your normal baseline. You're no longer fighting the squatter. Your neural pathways have officially rewired you to accommodate them, and you have biologically optimized yourself to be their host. And this is how your prosperity gets choked out and replaced with their pain. So let's break down exactly how this manifests so you can have more awareness to see it in your own life. First, look at the parasite and how it appealed to your strengths. They did not target your weaknesses. They can't live off of somebody who's a sloth. No, peak performer, someone who's focused on fulfillment, getting things done. You're the one where someone says, if you want to get a project done, give it to her. And you have a fierce loyalty. You believe everybody deserves a chance. And empathy, where, oh my gosh, you can feel the pain that they share with you of being stuck and struggling. Well, they weaponized those virtues against you. And over time, they convinced you that feeding their dysfunction was just you being a great, supportive person for progress. Second, ask yourself why things just seem to get worse no matter what you do. When you rip the batteries out of your alarm system, there is a terrifying kind of numbness. You disassociate. And you're doing so because you aren't reacting to minor boundary violations. But because the warning system is now down, the parasite pushes even further. The environment degrades, and your brain normalizes the decay. Finally, face the reality of the food source. A relationship parasite, the squatter, feeds on your emotional energy, your peace, and your stability, because they cannot produce that for themselves. That would take work, and it's so much easier to live off the back of someone else instead of the lack they've created in their own life. If you feel constantly drained, exhausted, and confused, it's because you're actively being consumed. You're playing the undercover role so perfectly that your own resources are being stripped away to keep the parasite, the squatter, comfortable. And that completely hijacks your ability to grow, to build wealth, to thrive in your own prosperity based on what's best about you. So, you're trapped, deep cover as a food source for a relationship emotional parasite. Nobody is coming to rescue you. You're going to have to begin to run your own extraction protocol. So there are 3 non-negotiable steps to stop the drain, to evict the parasite and reclaim not only your brain, but your life. So step 1, emergency reactivation. You got to put the batteries back on the alarm. Stop numbing the confusion and the discomfort. When your stomach knots, when your chest tightens, do not ignore it. Do not rationalize it away. Acknowledge that the alarm is supposed to be loud because your resources are being depleted. Okay, step 2, tactical debriefing. You know, when deep cover agents like the FBI are pulled out, they have to go through a mandatory debriefing to separate their assignment from reality. So I want you to grab a piece of paper. Let's begin this. Draw two columns. First column is food source. Second column, real me. Under the food source, I want you to list all the behaviors that you just had to engage in to keep the parasite fed and quiet. The constant giving, the tolerated disrespect, walking on eggshells. Remind yourself that those behaviors were part of the survival trap that was set for you. They are not your actual identity. And step 3, a 66-day neural rewiring. Your life is not going to change through a sudden emotional breakthrough. It changes through repeated daily physical behavior. Studies show it takes an average of 66 days to forge a new neural pathway on those behaviors. You've probably heard, 21 days to a new habit. No. So whenever we're looking to take action on reclaiming who we really are, the first 72 hours, the first 3 days, up to 3 days, could feel like death. Why is that? Because there is something that's dying. What's dying is the part of you that had to adapt to their BS, which is belief system, that you are their food source. Okay. So the first 3 days, whenever I'm working with my clients, they do not necessarily feel good. It takes 21 days to begin to optimize the emotions. So after we plug your alarm back in, your fire detector, Well, it takes 21 days for you to go, oh, I understand why it's going off now. Yeah. Okay. So this is the boundary breach. And now I need to be able to do something to address it. Oh, this was where I was expected to tolerate bad behavior and disrespect. Now, this is what I need to do to address it. So it takes 21 days for you to be able to stabilize and get your footing to even see what's actually going on. Then 66 days of repeated action where you've got the new neural pathway set up. And now, whenever something happens, you've got a choice. It is going to be the low, slow, downward road to living in despair, the valley of death, or is it going to be the road that goes up that's going to take a little bit more effort, but you're not afraid of effort when it leads you to being your best, but not at your expense. And then it takes 3 months, 91 days, for this identity to be formed and ready to work for you. Okay. So to help you jumpstart this specific process, to begin to reclaim your power, I have a free resource for you. It's a guided hypnosis experience called Renewal Reset. This session is engineered specifically to bypass the survival-driven brain that had to go undercover to survive and address the deeper challenges that have taken place in the subconscious mind that allowed you to adapt, but in a way that held you back. And it's going to give you the space you need to do 3 critical things. First is release the outdated truths, the old beliefs that you have to fix everything. Second, let go of misaligned hope, the false hope that the parasite will suddenly change. And third, stop the painful pushing against a situation that is draining your very life. You can download the Renewal Reset session right now. It is ready for you immediately. You'll find the link for it in the description down below. It's time you renew your mind, realign your path, and finally move forward with the beginnings of clarity and ease. So we've spent 3 episodes breaking down the anatomy of relationship squatters. We've looked at, is it just a simple disagreement or is it a permanent hostile takeover? We've also discovered how you sign the lease with self-sabotage. And then today, how trying to survive an emotional parasite turns you into their permanent food source. And it will drain your prosperity, being funneled to them for their fulfillment while your life steadily gets worse. When you live with them, you go undercover and you disconnect your alarm just to cope. But staying in that role too long, and you forget what it feels like to be safe in your own life. It's time to call in the extraction team. Put the batteries back in your alarm, stop feeding the parasite, use the Renewal Reset hypnosis session to start clearing out those old neural pathways. But we've got to be honest with each other. Evicting a parasite and stopping a deep cover cycle is a massive transition. You are rewriting how you show up in the world and rewiring how your system works for you, and that's going to need support. You don't have to work through this process alone. If you're ready to step into power for your progress, you can also go to my website, book a personal reset call directly with me, and we're going to sit down together. We're going to look at your specific situation and map out exactly how you can step back into who you really are. Take your identity back. Your prosperity belongs to you. Now go reclaim your space and your place of power. Before you go, I have a gift for you. If you've been listening to these episodes and finding yourself questioning old beliefs, wrestling with difficult realities, and wondering how to move forward without pushing yourself into exhaustion, I've created a gifted hypnosis experience called Renewal Reset. It's designed to help you release those outdated truths, let go of misaligned hopes, and stop the painful pushing that so often keeps you stuck. This guided experience will help you quiet the noise, reconnect with your own wisdom, and create forward movement from a place of clarity rather than pressure. You can claim your gifted hypnosis experience at dawnlandrum.com and then click on the tab that says gifted hypnosis experience, or it might say free. That's dawnlandrum.com. And until next time, blessings on your brilliance and how you bring the beauty of you to the world around all of us.